Okay, go.
Also, we landed on the moon in 1969. That was huge. Your dad was like 2. I got him, set him in front of the TV, and I hadn't had your Aunt Vicky yet, so we were standing there. And told her she saw it. It was just a huge event in our lives to watch someone walk on the moon. We just had made. It was a decade, honey, quite a decade. The 60s. So it was great though, to some degree.
And so one of the things is central, one of the big, themes of the entire school is like racism. And so, we're trying our hardest to become, like a integrated, just like socially, we're integrated, but we still have some trouble in our school, just with racism. And, we all want to get rid of that. But, like when you went to Central, and was that any different than, like today? And like, how was like growing up as a teenager, like, did you have to deal with racism? And like, how did you handle that?
Well, I mean, yeah, in the 60s. I mean, my sister went to school at Central, older sister, in 1957 when all that happened. And, yeah, I mean, I am very fortunate. I had 2 wonderful parents who were not biased. And we didn't say any of the wrong, improper words. And my dad took my sister to school every day. He was very, very unhappy with Faubus for all the National Guard and the whole thing. But no one got bayoneted to death, which we went to Florida that next summer, and people would stop my dad and ask him how many people were killed at Central. Well, they weren't. It looks bad in the news, and it was, but it was not.
Yeah.
I was hoping maybe it was even better now. Your Aunt Vicky went to Central, and it was still a little rough back in the late 80s when she was there. But for us, it had calmed down by the time I got there, but we were totally separate. Totally separate. They were there, but we didn't talk to them like we should have. We were not the kind of people, today when I see someone, they're just people. There's no differences. But it was not that way back then, and I'm sorry that it's not that way now. I don't know if the pendulum has to swing so far the other way before it can ever balance out to where we can just look at each other and forget color and just see people. Just see people.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think of anything else. Is there anything else you'd like to add or a story you'd like to tell?
I loved Central, though, and we have a group called this, you'll like this, the Marigolds, based on Central. It's a bunch of us girls that graduated in 1964, and we started as a garden club in the mid-90s. But we sort of got tired of gardening as we aged, and now we're a social club. And we meet once a month at someone's house or at a restaurant and just talk about old times. And we planned our 40, actually we turned 60 in 2006, so we planned a big 60th birthday party and had it in Embassy Suites. So we really do try to stick together. It was a huge class of almost 700 students graduating, but I would say in 2006, well over 200 came, and it was really nice. We had a wonderful time reminiscing and reliving our youth, if that's the right way. But I always have a fondness for Central, and I'm thrilled that you're going there to my alma mater. Got a scholarship when I was there and went up to Fayetteville to school for 64 and 5, and then came back and attended UALR. But it was always good to me. And let's see, I guess through the 60s, this is just a little aside, there was an Averett at Central for every year of the 60s.
Really?
My youngest sister graduated in May of 1969. My oldest sister was there and graduated. She actually didn't get to graduate from Central, but she would have in 60. But my brother was there in 60. He graduated in 62, me in 64, Aunt Patsy in 66, Uncle Steve in 68, and Aunt Dottie in 69. I know, it's wild.
And just to end this kind of, if you could get onto like a television show, that you knew every teenager was watching and every teenager was listening to, and say something that you knew would soak into them and that you knew they would carry on for the rest of their lives, what would it be?
That I knew they would?
Yeah.
Well, I would really like for everyone to go to church, but I'm sure that's not going to happen. But the main thing is that we all got to really start loving each other and thinking more of someone else than we think of ourselves. You know, we're turning into there was a whole me generation back in the 70s and 80s. I hope we don't go that way again, where it's not always just about me, because people would be happier and are happier when they're thinking about someone other than themselves. You know, give back to like Kennedy said, ask your country what you can do. You know, you can do for your country instead of always wanting another handout from them. You know, and that's kind of the way it is. We don't need another handout from the government. We need to try to stand on our own 2 feet.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome, sweetheart.
Thank you so much. Okay.
You think that's any good? You can edit it if you'd like.